are. And this one feels like it's going to be potentially another one of those long ones if Consulate starts to go towards the full 12 or potentially all the way to 15 rounds. SSG starting things out on the ban. They have banned Ying every single map so far in this series, and that is not changing here in map 3.
Nope, that's it. It's been a consistent one. They have absolutely no interest in playing against the Ying. We're going to have the Monte come in as well. So the bans have actually started out in exactly the same way as they did. Well, it was the reverse. It was Monte then Ying.
SSG only attacked with Monte once on club. And
that's
since
it,
then,
banned.
Wolves are like, that's it. Last 2 maps, gone. Taken away. Refuse to see it. Valkyrie being taken away is an interesting small change.
Seen a lot of Valkyrie play today so far.
We have. And Wolves have gone very heavily in towards banning Mira, though, across the last 2 maps. Here, there's going to be the Valkyrie and the Azami going to be the final ban. That is an interesting one, but not wholly unsurprising. Wolves have used it a lot. We've seen Mowgli running around on it a lot. It's holding down areas of the map. Piano back on Cafe. Prior to that, we saw some really good defenses coming down inside the basement when it was defending downstairs for the side of Wolves. I'm not horribly surprised to see it taken away, but it does mean, of course, things like the Solus will be available, and straight away, SSG across to running that. When it was open back on the first map, I think it was actually only SSG who picked up the Solus. Wolves didn't touch it once, as far as I can remember.
SSG going to kick things off with a top floor hold then.
And a captain.
We're looking to keep hold upstairs. Now, the interesting area, particularly for top floor, is exactly where we're looking at right now. Thank you very much. It's going to be in and around those vending machines, and it is going to be the setup that we would expect. Global shield up by the vending machines. So you would usually have somebody playing down towards the bottom of your screen there, near where the compass is, sort of around the top of those stairs, into the small area of the side of meeting room. You're going to have somebody in there, and then you're going to have somebody up at the top of that corridor, near the shield, in behind there, behind the vending machine, that's going to help them hold on to that position. It stops them being pushed from top spiral, and it also stops the push coming through from copy and the right-hand side of your screen effectively. So it's going to prevent everything, all that pressure coming across from admin, unless that area is cleared out, and it can be very, very difficult to clear out. So if SSG do put the numbers in there, Wolves are going to have to find an answer. You would expect Wolves to be well aware, it's something that G2 kind of pioneered in that position. So coming from EU, should be ready and waiting for it, should SSG choose to set up that.
Should, though. It's one of those classic things where the more you see something, the more counters start to be established, the more teams begin to figure it out. And what's the best way to counter a shield? Arguably with another shield, which is why Shinka is bringing along Blitz here. At least the ability to get up there and cause a little bit of chaos could be the one. I want to say the track's not really in the ideal spot there from Mowgli. But otherwise, that means the other stairs should be locked off, at least for now. Forest sniffing out this way to feed information back and forth. Beauty of playing shields, of course, you do get to feed this kind of information, and the call is there, they get away with it. And I mentioned the best way to beat a shield is with a shield. Shinka comes straight in with the flash, but can't get rid of the clash.
Deadshot once again coming in and getting things going for Wolves, so as he manages to pick up one, P4 and Bibu double down, find them for themselves. Forest, he picks one up, but 3 versus 1, and Deadshot's there for the trade, and it is again that name that we are shouting. Deadshot with a double in the first round. The Blitz is just hassling Fultz now. He's actually going to do damage to himself with the impact nade. Leaves us now all but done as Deadshot picks up that final kill. Finko was down but not out, but Deadshot was there once again to protect his teammate, get the trade, and that's a triple to kick things off. That's Wolves taking round 1, and boy oh boy, have we got a game on.
In pretty explosive fashion as well, as the key thing I'd note there. It would have been so easy for SSG to just turn Wolves through the meat grinder. When we had the clash at the top of Yellow, just feeding on what was going on balcony. Mowgli went down for free. And rather than kind of pull back, Wolves said, actually, if we're losing a player, full send it. Drop through Skylight right now, Shinka. Get in the face of that clash. And they just exploded in and around office. And you saw the outcome. They cleaned house with SSG, realistically. And this is what I was speaking about before the series that a few have remarked on is, given the current meta we're in, where there's so many strong defenders that can slow the game down so much, what attackers are now doing instead is just going even more aggressive and pushing even faster than they did during the last kind of iteration of the TDM meta. And you've just seen it in full effect in that round. Great for Wolves to get the first attacking round win, and maybe it shows that we have something a bit different to expect from the attackers here on Consulate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, attacking on console is never an easy thing to do necessarily. We've spoken about this before. The map is made up of lots of small rooms, which gives, guess what, defenders lots of corners to hide in. And it means that your droning takes longer. You've got to check all those little corners, all those little hiding places. When you're going through as attackers, you've got to be checking every corner. You've got to be really on it in terms of being ready for those gunfights being brought to you. So there's generally a lot of work for the attackers to do. I like what Wolves did there. They just took it out of play, essentially. Actually, we're just going to go route one, both straight in towards site. We're going to cut out a lot of the map. You can do that on the top floor. You can't do that the same for something like Garage necessarily. They've got Ashen out there on the roam on the Solus. Very dangerous operator, very dangerous player. What a combination. Wolves need to deal with this.
Good Solus can be such a headache to deal with. Yep. And because you can't easily like get a drone in there that goes, haha, we can see you and you don't know about it. They've really had him contained. And they knew he was up there because of the impact that came through. Hoping to get something, throwing himself out the window, and finds absolutely nothing. Not a lick of damage. Down onto the other side, and that's unfortunate. Forest.
I think SSG have just suffered from over-aggression there. Ashen's gone out of a window. Forest gone out of the door. Wolves are sat there ready waiting for them. You know, it's two of the easiest kills they're going to have all day. So I just feel like SSG, yes, they're going to carry a lot of confidence into this map. We've spoken about the win rate, played 4-1-4. They can't let themselves get carried away with that because right now, Wolves are showing up and they're going to punish them if they do.
I'm sure they'll only continue to do that the more SSG just keep giving it over to the other side. Again, first round, I don't really have much to do there, and they have loved the aggression in early rounds. He spoke about it and praised both teams for it because it slows the attacking team down, gives them more to worry about as the round wears on. Here, admittedly, the Leaf managed to pull one back. A trade comes through. Love seeing that. I remarked on a couple of times from SSG, especially on their attacking side, they would miss the opportunity to trade. Wolves not forsaking that opportunity here and at least getting one back. 4v2.
Shot kicked off with 5-0. I said coming into this map, he was instrumental for the win on Cafe. He was a little bit slow to get started on that map. How was he going to do on this one? And how was it going to impact Wolves' results? He's come in 5-0. He's stayed hot. He's firing on all cylinders. And Wolves are winning rounds on the back of it. P4 manages to pick up hot and cold. It's all up to Fultz. He gets himself a freebie onto Shinka. They've no idea that he's up above. But now that they know, it gives them the opportunity to think about a plant potentially. But where is the diffuser? It's not in hand at the minute. They need to make sure that the timing is right and that they don't push Fultz one at a time, which is exactly what they are doing.
What is going on? Oh. What is going on?
I was worked. Deadshot just streaked across the map there, one side to the other, and got away with it. But I was a little bit worried then.
Yeah, man was playing a risky game. Could have brought it down to a 1 versus 1, but they get over the line. And I believe I heard the call right. SSG called in a timeout. Did I hear? If they have, yeah, there we go. 2-round timeout, Tim. Things are not going to plan, that's for sure.
You can see that it's not what they expected. I think SSG probably came into Consulate very, you know, they know the stats as well as we do, and they're going to come into it probably very confident, and you could see that Ashen going out of a window, Forest out of the, you know, all that aggression there, and actually, it's been for nothing. They've gone and thrown themselves against the rocks, and they've been broken by Wolves, who have just actually picked them apart, played really well, got in and won rounds. Yes, there was a little bit of a moment at the end of the round there against the Maestro where it was, you know, a little bit worrying, but Wolves on the whole have done everything they've needed to do. They're looking great, 2-0, and it's no surprise to see that attack timeout coming in.
And Deadshot has not slowed down a second. He's 5-0 after 2 rounds, Tim. Once again, I mean, admittedly, the kind of suicidal run at the end of that last round I wasn't too swarm on, but I mean,
you're going out of the door with a nitro in your hand.
You're hoping he's tucked away on drones, aren't you? Maybe you'd assume a player would be. They'd be back on drones, and it's a free C4. That's the risk that you're taking in that situation, but you know, doubling down on the investment and trying to get aggressive early on. Yeah.
Had you not just lost Ashen and you think, yeah, he's, you know, the Solus is feeding me info, there's one out there on drone, right, yeah, I might go and have a look with the nitro, but when you've literally just lost Ashen, I don't think that it's a risk you can really be taking, and they've lost the round on the back of it.
That Hail Mary to try and square 4-4, but it doesn't come off yet. Onwards we go then. On towards what looks to be the split site, which is going to be an interesting one. I always enjoy seeing this site being picked out.
Yeah, we don't see it too much.
We don't often know. We do not. Got the pulse on side. That's the go-to staple for it as well. Play downstairs, C4 upwards. Remember back on old console, all you just see is the entire floor on that first floor site just get completely torn out from below, and everyone would try and play on the downstairs. And there's more options here to cause a bit of trouble. Got to be kind of wary of that, I'd imagine, whether it's trying to play from the west side in as the attackers, and the defenders have got to be wary of that. It's a bit of a maze down in the basement. or whether or not they try and go top down. They've got a couple of options they can play with here, and we'll see how Wolves approach it.
Once again, certainly no rush. 30 seconds in, going to be opening up those barricades, drones going in, and I like that from them. They've not been the over-aggressors. They've taken their time, and they've waited for the opportunities to present themselves. They just needed that electrical to be cleared off. That is going to be done. So that will allow the garage walls to be slowly opened. Ooh, interesting.
Aha.
No.
So I was going to point this out when I saw this yesterday. Well, with C4s, as you know, they get stuck when they, even if they're outside the kind of like frozen radius, it's almost like more of a square in a way.
Yep.
So even when you're outside what looks to be the radius, a single pixel can be anywhere near the frozen effect and it won't work. And there they've just been caught out by that with the Selma, unfortunately.
Well, of course, yeah, the Selma would deploy outwards as well and would go into that area. So I imagine that's going to be part of the logic there. So Claymores will be placed out to prevent any jump outs. Again, just, you know, heads up play from Wolves. They know that the aggression has been there from SSG. A little bit concerned about the time for them in the shrine. We're halfway through. They've not really got themselves inside of the map yet. A lot of the breaches have been established, should be dealt with by now. Don't know what's happened with the garage breach, whether there was an opportunity maybe to put an electrical back down, or whether that has now been opened with the Selmas, but seeing the electrical at the back there is going to tell me that it should now be open. Mowgli goes in and absolutely slams Foresters.
Almost loses his life for it in the process. It gets a little bit scrappy. Shinka and P4 try and pull something back, but for all intents and purposes, with Mowgli down, that's 3 players lost on that server side push. Not ideal for the French side. Against SSG, who've got 4 players, still have a 4v3 coming in here. Bibu, he's got to start winning some gunfights at some point, Tim, and it turns out to be now. Plant going down, 3v3.
Mowgli just having a tickle of the diffuser there, but he's not going to stick it for the time being. Maybe just waiting for a better position, a better opportunity, maybe another kill or 2 to come in, but he's just trying to get himself positioned in behind that pillar. But Ashen is up above, hasn't been dealt with yet, and I think that is exactly what Wolves are particularly concerned about, and they should be, as Ashen takes down Mowgli, and right now Wolves have got no answer to the vertical threat from SSG.
Really good from Ashen to be playing it the reverse rather than playing downstairs up. He's playing upstairs down. 2 versus 2 and 30 seconds to play. They have got it in hand and they could just tuck away here. Still the opportunity with Ashen down for them to not know this is going on. Might see one at range, but they'll be able to stick it, Tim.
I like that, just playing it really tight. Bibu just covering right over the shoulder of the planter. He's going to use noise for his left-hand side so he knows nobody's coming in. He can just watch that one direction. Now then, Deadshot, he's got a great crossover here. He gets 1, he gets 2! Deadshot with a plant and a double! And that's going to be Wolves taking round 3!
Deadshot again.
Look at the little smile, he knows! He knows! He's him!
He's him. He's that guy. In the absence of Shaiko, someone had to step up to the plate. And my God, is he doing it for the French fans. 3 rounds on the attack. No timeout options left, of course, for SSG. They used it after round 2. That round was better, I think, in terms of orchestration. Having the Solus above was a real headache for Wolves to figure out because they just Hail Mary'd it down the back stairs, in through box or secret, whatever the hell you want to call it, and got absolutely slaughtered by Hot and Cold, as you just saw. Mowgli went down, he killed 2 players, and I thought, man, with Ashen now playing above, this round has got to be done and dusted, but Ashen then dies, so they lose the information that he held onto above and managed to pull the round off. 3 rounds in a row. This is going to feel like torture for SSG for these next 3 rounds.
It really is, because, you know, coming into it, you just feel like if Wolves get a good enough lead here, when you get onto that defense, I've often said this before, say Wolves get themselves a 5-1 half again here on the attack, you've always got to feel like on the defense, there's got to be that one site that you can lock down. That's all you need to find at that point. You need 2 rounds. You can just lock one site down twice and that's it. Job done. You've won. So SSG, they've got to start finding some rounds. They've got to start finding them now.
Already feels like the damage is done, doesn't it? That's the problem. Even if they're kind of like a 3-3 half, you'd still be like, man, given how this series has gone so far, we should be doing so much better. So at this point, it's more damage control than it is kind of being able to find a real positive coming out of the half. Let's see how things play up. Deadshot on the Ash in this round at 8-0. Ready to really tear SSG a new one once again. He's just waiting for that call on when to go. What I like in a way is, like, although Mowgli's been the entry and he's been at the forefront of a lot of these pushes, he's gone down and there's been that reliable second flagger behind him to pick up the pieces and still make stuff work. They're in for a
He's in a
plan.
position. He's
5v5
zipped in with the Amaru. He's going to be getting the plant down, and SSG are not going to get there in time. The cover is in place. P4 dead shot, find one apiece. 5 versus 3. Diffuser down, Forest down, everybody down. It's all up to hot and cold now. 1 versus 5, and Wolves, they are on the hunt, Des, and they are ripping SSG to pieces.
Fresh and Jackers, eat your heart out. That is a go-to classic ranked execute through that
really
office window.
I'm usually the Amaru.
Yeah, you're the one in there full sending it whilst you're getting cover.
I'm not going to name names, but P4 had better cover than, you know, he was on the cover.
Come on.
BB was well looked after.
Who are we dobbing him?
I can't do it. I
Is
can't
it
do it.
Jackers?
Fresh is always very good on the cover, that's what I will say.
All right, so we've eliminated one from the set there, it could be. The Jackers, I'm imagining, is normally
Fresh
pretty...
is always excellent on the cover for me.
Fresh has just walked in, exasperated that we're daring to kind of say that. To be fair, you've given a nice compliment there. You should love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he did gesture, what the hell was that? And I'm like, yeah, it's SSG being caught a bit asleep at the wheel. Admittedly, very impressive at what they brought along. You know, you had the Grim on side. We expected to see a lot of Grim in this competition with the Decavy on side as well. It's a lot to keep the defenders at bay when you're going in for an execute like that, and it's so hard to deny. And in a world where, again, defense is so strong, these quick and easy direct to sight from the external side of the map attacks are so effective, as we saw. Bar and Cocktail are back on Cafe. You're seeing it here with that last sight, and Wolves. Wow, what a turn this would be if they turn around and take 5 or 6 rounds from this first half.
The thing is, with that plant, it can be a tough one to hold off for the defenders. You've got to have the right utility in place. You know, you're covering past that half wall from the window, and it's so difficult to swing into it. Once the diffuser starts going down, you've really got to deal with it from below. You know, you've got to have somebody in position, whether that be your Solis, whether that be somebody on an Nitro. You know, you've got to have something there to deal with it from below. So long as the desk has been cleared out, which can be done in a number of ways, if that position has been moved out, then Bibu's got all the space in the world he needs to get in there, and Wolves have just shown that. But Passion, he's going to open things up with a quick kill onto Shinka, and it's starting to fall apart a little bit for Wolves on this one, as J9O gets a double, but it's Deadshot. He's there once again. He's 11 and 0 at the minute. It's 3 versus 1 now as Fultz finally shuts him down. And it's all up to P4.
Could have got himself a third onto the mirror and the drop, and then swung and got the 4th guy. It could have been a 4K to convert the round over. Now, I wouldn't write things off with P4, by the way. Although he hasn't been like 17 kills on the last map, he still had 12. He's still been quietly going about his business here. He has been Mr. Reliable in the midfield for this team. So although a 3K is going to be a hard and tall order, it's plenty doable for P4.
Just going to be a waiting game now for SSG. P4 just gets himself up into the top floor. Going to try and use those verticals, see if he can find anybody from above. At this point, he just needs a kill. He just needs 1 kill to get things going. Drops into sight. He knows that there's going to be angles looking through into there. Might be an opportunity to get the diffuser down, but with hot and cold underneath, FNATs to walk into, there's very little that P4 can realistically do here. As soon as he starts putting that diffuser down, it's not even about hot and cold denying the plant. It's about them knowing exactly where he is. It's
and they're playing all 3 floors as well, Tim.
Exactly. Like, this is a nightmare for P4. He's working through barbed wire, so they're likely going to hear that. They're going to know that he's moving his way. He's got plenty of time. That is the one thing in his favour. But honestly, I think the first gunfight he comes across is probably going to be the end of this.
Will he check this corner by the looks of it? No, he's looking completely the wrong way. It's all too easy for Forest to get the close onto P4. SSG finally get a small reprieve here. A single round on Consulate to their name on the defensive side. 4 to Wolves as we go into round 6. I did say it'd be like damage control, Tim. The best they can walk away with here is 2 rounds on the defensive half.
In all honesty, if SSG can walk away with 2, I think it's a bit of a steal.
Yeah.
With the way that they've played so far and the way that Wolves have played, if they come away 4-2, I'm going to be looking at that thinking, Wolves maybe should have had a bit more out of that. It's still not a bad first half for Wolves, don't get me wrong. But, you know, you look at it
Tell you what,
they should have at least 5.
Deadshot was 11 and 0 before he finally got taken down. And again, he could have easily got those next 2, well, not easily, but could have got those next 2 kills if he caught the mirror on the drop and then spun round and got the next. In fact, if he killed the mirror, there was no C4 coming skyward. He probably does go on to really control the sight from above in that round. So a small margin of timing, a little bit of an ammo issue as well. But it does give SSG a round they sorely need.
yeah, they had to get something going. They had to get something going. Let's not forget, SSG have already used their tactical timeout as well. They used it before the start of round 3. It was between round 2 and 3 that they used it very early in the game. And it leaves them in a position that no matter what happens now, they've just got to keep on rolling and try and keep themselves in this. Ashen straight out of a window, still bringing that aggression. He's just going to pre-fire an area there. He doesn't necessarily know anybody's there. He doesn't necessarily expect anybody there, but the players will practice that. They know exactly where the angle is. They know exactly where the spawn is going to come from. So they'll just run and go for that fire and see if they get anything. Nothing doing for Ashen.
Dropped the diffuser.
Mentioned it back on Cafe when we saw this brought along. This time round in Bibu's hands rather than Shinka. Curious to see where the execute comes in. Again, you can follow the Otter and really get a good idea as to what's going down. And given he's hanging around secret here, it's probably going to be that execute once again down through the basement. The only thing I'm always nervous about is what we saw last time round was Ashen being on the Solus. He had a lot of control up on the ground floor, so if they apply some pressure there, good. It means they can at least control him away at least somewhat. I don't think he'll make the same mistake twice where he'll find himself getting brought down for essentially nothing. And he's already found Mowgli. I tell you what, he's in Mowgli's head rent-free this series.
Yeah, it certainly looks that way. Bibu's going to take a ton of damage. He's going to take a little bit more as well, and it's going to be enough to put him down on the deck. That's going to be the finish. But Boris, he keeps on fighting. He knows that there's a second coming along as well. And there is a big round from SSG as they go flawless. And what a way to finish the half. Not only 2 rounds back-to-back, a flawless thrown in there as well. And could we see the tide starting to turn?
Bit of a flourish, I think, for SSG. Again, we said those 2 rounds feel like a steal. Wolves really slowing things down in that last round. And I think as soon as SSG realized, okay, we've got an Ossa pushing in through server, they must be attacking this direction. You had the immediate pushing towards box on the top side coming in. I imagine a jump out from the window in towards box to cut off their back line. You also did have one player on Wolves admittedly try and push their way in towards Visa to challenge onto Ashen, but unfortunately didn't win that gunfight either. Just everything that could have gone wrong that round for Wolves did, and everything that could go right for SSG absolutely did, and a lot of that was down to their decision making. So really good stuff from the American side. Now that they've got to pour some magic of their own on the attacking half, they are down 4-2. Across the series so far, it's been very heavily defender favoured. Got to do some magic on the attack.
The thing is, for SSG now, the positive they've got to see, by getting those 2 rounds, I commented previously, Wolves get to 5, they've only got to be able to lock down 1 defensive side. Now, SSG have put them in a position where they have to show that they can find wins on 2 defensive sides. Otherwise, it will end up in overtime. So, it just adds that little bit of pressure. Yes, they've got their favourite side. They come in here, onto the primary. Maybe they get the win, and they're thinking, right, this is looking good. Deadshot's going to take some serious damage. He's out again, though! And he manages to get it! Ashen taken down with a double attempt from Deadshot.
The thing is, SSG are the team that love playing like this. We've seen it on Club. We saw it on Cafe. Window jump outs, run outs of kitchen door, you name it. They were going for everything they possibly could. Yet not only has Deadshot tried it once and kind of messed it up, he's gone in back in for seconds. He's gone in for afters, Tim.
He's gone in for afters,
got away with the kill. Like, SSG should not be letting that happen.
Now he got himself something tasty on that second attempt, and just looked like SSG were not ready for it. I think, you know, to be fair on anybody's part, you'd have the assumption, I've hit him on the run out, he's not coming back for more. He knows that we know that he's there, you know, but no, Deadshot just playing the double bluff and getting back out there, and what a start it is. Going to continue taking down utility as well. Fultz does manage to find P4 though, and Deadshot, he's coming under pressure here. Fultz just raining bullets through the soft wall around him. Does take damage from above though. This one is becoming tense.
Mowgli with a little sidestep and Deadshot. Being kind of shot out of nowhere. Really didn't have the expectation, but when he falls, Mowgli is there to pick up the pieces. 2 kills in the round and 2 left standing for SSG. It's all down to J90 and Forest. It's been a very vertically focused round as well. All the kills from Mowgli seeming to come in from above. He's found 3 for himself as well. Wants to remind us the Deadshot ain't him. It's all about Mowgli.
Just again going to be looking for this final one. I'm sure he's certainly feeling himself in this round. Forrest will send up the air jab, just trying to get anything going that he can from beneath, but in a 1 versus 3 he knows that it's a big ask. Mowgli steps down, says, that's my 4 for the round, thank you very much, and I'm going to just start putting a little bit of pressure on SSG as well. That's round 5 on the board then for Wolves. It leaves us now 5-2, and the big question for me is this next round. This is where it becomes important. If you remember at the beginning of that round, I said Wolves need to show us that they can win on 2 sides here if they want to get this done. And that's where this next round is going to be so important. If Wolves can take them somewhere else, they're probably going to be down into the basement to Garage, I would imagine. If they can take them there and get the win, you're then looking at this situation where they need one more round and they've got 2 sites to pick from. They've got Console, they've got Garage where they can find that. So it's going to be a big one for them now.
I felt like almost every single fight in that round, as I mentioned, was through the verticals, whether it was shooting upwards or shooting downwards. It was just a bit of carnage. Mowgli walks away king of the round, though, 5-2. Once we go, as you say, Tim. The thing is, when you see Wolves playing like this, when their 2 entries are the ones that are really shining, and Mowgli is always normally the primary entry, the one who's getting into the gunfights first. But between him and Deadshot, when they're having a day like they are today, this team is so hard to deal with. And I know that this sounds funny because he's 0-4, but Shinka has been one of their best players, if not the best player, consistently across the whole of the last year. You get through those 2 front lines. You've got P4, who's been quite a consistent player in the mid line. Naboo, it's a bit of a stinky day today so far. We'll let him off, it's the first day. But Shinka again in the back line can be such a stable player. When they're firing on all cylinders, Wolves look absolutely phenomenal, but their challenge has always been consistency throughout a competition. And I hope that this at least signals a change. That day 1 can carry into day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and they keep on playing at the level of quality we've seen, at least on Consulate so far, and elements of the previous maps as well.
Yeah, they've really picked up the pace as they've gone on. You know, they've really grown into...
It's first game, kind of shake it off a little bit. It's a bit of rust.
At the end of the day, it's going to be the same for everybody coming out of the window. Is not going to do the job on that one, but Deadshot is going to continue holding that angle for the time being, just waiting for any change in pixel colour. He knows they're still out on the rappel. He's got the information. He's feeding it back in, but Ashen has managed to just sneak his way in pretty close to the defensive line here. So to be aware, they need to be alert. They don't want to get caught out. Hot and Cold is going to take some damage getting in through that window.
All about the vertical play. A lot of Buck throughout this series, sometimes joined up by the Ram, of course, as well. But here is just the Buck getting to work with a little bit of help coming in from the Jackal. But even with the Jackal on side, it's never going to be enough.
Just a little trick.
Deadshot finding Ashen, who himself has just been bullied, it feels, by Deadshot after dominating Mowgli in previous engagements.
Yep, Deadshot finding the entry kill onto Ashen 2 rounds in a row there. He's looking for more. He knows somebody's there.
How?
Peeks around the corner and rips the head off Bolts. 5 versus 3 now. Wolves looking comfortable, but Hot and Cold has something to say about that. Manages to take down Deadshot from above. 3 versus 4.
Right, tag team, it's Mowgli's time to shine. But that second kill for me is just nigh on unforgivable. You knew that Deadshot was there. You knew what he's capable of. And you're giving him this very easy 1v1. Yes, there's some pressure coming in from above, but clearly not enough pressure because it still took another 5 seconds for him to actually die afterwards. Hot and Cold almost going down, but it's J9O to get P4 first. 3v3.
Yeah, P4 was just hiding away there, waiting for that vertical play, I think, potentially. Should they get in a position to put the diffuser down, or maybe the sneak down yellow. He was just giving himself options, keeping himself in that position to work into Piano, or even if SSG established themselves in Piano, he could have hit him on the flank, but they've done a very good job. They've found him, they've turned it around, they've used that intel. It leaves them now 3 versus 3, but time could become a factor. 35 seconds, only starting to open up the breach now. Manages to take off the exothermic as well.
He's got none left as well. That's the wall staying closed. This is all Wolves needed. It really came down to those impacts. They have done the job needed. 20 seconds to go, and Forest and J9O have got to force their way in and win some incredible gunfights, Tim, to get it over the line.
Wolves just need to not peek at this point. Let the clock do its job. Force them into engagements. Force them to come through doorways. Force them into bad positions. Mowgli, he manages to find J9O and Forest. A big double, as you said, as Deadshot went down. It's now Mowgli's time to step up, and what a duo they are playing as at the minute.
Real raid boss energy between those two. You kill one, there's a second one there ready to leap on you straight away. So difficult to deal with. And interestingly, the main difference in the change has just been that they've put Deadshot in as the main entry engagement and pulled Mowgli back a little bit and had him play sort of second fiddle. On the attacking side, it's more the reverse when you see Mowgli being the one leading the charge in and sometimes a bit too far ahead of his team. But when Deadshot's playing like this, it's completely understandable that you want him to be the one taking all of these entry engagements.
This now needs to be SSG's big opportunity.
4 rounds, mate.
It's 6-2. They need 4 rounds in a row, but they are going to the 3rd choice site for Wolves. So SSG have to get in here. Yes, they have to win every round from here on out. But more importantly, the reason this one, it's their opportunity. It's the 3rd choice. They've got to see it like that. You know, this is not a primary site. This is one where we should be able to get the win, and it can start shifting that momentum. It can start the ball rolling. But boy, are they against an absolute mountain here that they've got to climb.
5 seconds
A bit too
remaining.
big a one, I'm afraid. Again, if it was flipped and it was Wolves on the attack and SSG on defense,
Attackers
I
objective
feel
is
quite
to
optimistic
defuse the
for them
bomb.
actually that they could take it towards overtime. But given how the sides are going, oh please! I tell you what, if he got away with that, that would have been filth.
Attackers have dropped the bomb.
I mean,
diffuser.
okay, Deadshot's straight trade with
That's
Helton
it.
Gold. Is it the end of the world losing a castle?
Nope.
I'm more bothered that you're losing Deadshot, to be honest. On the other side, you lose the Brava. Those drones are offline. No hacking, for example. So Electrocores are safe. You're going to see the mute jammers being safe. Any bulletproofs that are down, of which there are none. So never mind.
It's definitely a win.
I'd feel happy about that.
That trade is definitely a win for Wolves.
It is in terms of operators and utility,
Yeah,
but in
not
terms
necessarily
of
in
players,
terms of players. Deadshot's going crazy at the minute.
Yeah.
But in terms of operators, in terms of utility, it's definitely a win for Wolves. You've got those additional drones that have lost. You've got the hacking ability which has been lost. They're now confident,
Attackers have recovered their
that the
diffuser.
mute jammers aren't going to be lost, that the E-claws aren't going to be taken over and destroyed. It just gives them that little bit of freedom to think about the utility a little bit differently. So J9O is going to be working across the first floor for the time being, looking to get himself in towards the bottom of Spiral. Wolves aren't really too heavily positioned up here. They're all looking to defend that bottom site. They're on servers at the minute. Forest is going to put some smoke out there and dip away. Bibu's there for the traders. J9O takes down Mowgli. 3 versus 3, and this has been an intense first half to the round.
time for the back line to shine, I think, for Wolves. Bibu, Shinka, and P4 got to get some magic going. Did a better map from Bibu overall compared to the previous two, where especially the last one, he was very invisible. I think 1 and 10 he ended on something crazy. It wasn't the strongest performance. At least here, with him and P4 putting up some numbers, that feeling they can get this over the line. However, you cannot ignore that Forest has such a strong ability here to isolate a player with that shield and just run at them, put them down into the ground, and job be done. So Wolves have got to play real tight together here. It's all about that team play to close out this round.
Yeah, I think the blitz is the important factor. That's where they're going to have to find the value, because otherwise you've kind of sacrificed the gun to bring along blitz. He's only got the pistol, and it just leaves you sort of at 2.5 versus 3, really. So they've got to find some value out of that shield. They've got to find some value out of that ability to bully these defenders. Out comes the impact nade. It is going to be enough as Bibu somehow survives that second right in his face. He is downed. Ashen is going to finish it off, but 2 versus 1 effectively now as Fultz is taken down, and Wolves have every opportunity, but Finker is able to boost his man back onto his feet.
With no Solus on side as well, there's no easy information, but they've got the yellow pings, so the info's on site for them if they need it. They've just got to try and find their man. Moves back over, another one on side. C4 off the top, Fultz is gone, and it's a down onto the Finker. That's all she wrote. Wolves with a massive pullback.